we don't crash this time. I don't know why we keep crashing, but it's a thing. Here we go. Right. Check, 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 check. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Here we go again. All right. So where were we? Right. We were cutting out our pie here. Okay. Our rough layout. Here's our pie burnout. Photoshop want to continue to work on me? I don't know what's going to happen next, so hang in there. Thanks for being patient, guys. It's not ideal. So we're cutting out the car separately, the pie separately, because the size, we wanted to keep the size interchangeable with our layout. We had already brought everything in together at size. I didn't want to compromise quality in case the creative director decided he wanted the pie bigger or smaller or whatever. So we're doing it separately. Separate file, and then we'll bring it in. I have the scale that I brought everything in written down at. I'll be able to play with that. Yeah. Speaking of which, what we're talking about this industry, it's hard. It's a hard industry. There's a lot of people out there that want to do what we do. It pays really well, but it's kind of one of those things where, like, once you're in, and they kind of use the same people over and over again. It's hard to crack in, especially during a pandemic when they are worried about COVID and shoots getting canceled because people are testing positive. They really want to use people that they can kind of count on, especially since they have to get the shoots insured and whatnot. It's just kind of a nightmare. So they haven't been hiring a lot of people, to be honest. I just kind of see the same people getting hired over and over again. Um, so yeah, it's tough. Tough industry, man. I get lucky here and there with stuff that comes and goes, and you know, I think the fact that I have a composite artist background kind of keeps me busy. Not all the stuff I get is just car shoots. I also do a lot of pitching ideas for companies. I'm under NDA, so I can't talk about much in that respect. But yeah, I also do a lot of composite work or special projects for a company called Doubleday and Cartwright. You can look them up. A really cool company to work for. But the one of the creative directors or owners or whatever I went to college with, so they're aware of my. Half the problem with getting work nowadays, or I don't know, maybe just in general in the industry that I work in, is that it's kind of explaining or understanding educating people about what you do in your process. Like once people figure out what I do, in terms of like, oh, we can shoot everything in pieces and then assemble it later and blah blah blah. It's kind of a shoe in. Most of the clients are pretty happy with my work, and it's usually a big problem solver for a lot of the projects that I work on. There's always problems. It's always, and you need somebody who's really just a good problem solver in order to be able to deliver what your expectations are. So that's the thing. People will always complain about how much you charge. Just know that. If they don't complain, because you're not charging enough. It's just as long as they never complain about the work, you're doing it right. I never ever have clients compare about the quality of what I deliver. Consistency keeps you working. But there's companies that I hear, that just don't hire the same people over and over again, which is nice. There was a period of time before the pandemic where literally everybody was just hiring. Everybody in all the United States agencies or American agencies, creating advertising for American cars, were hiring European shooters, which is fine. They were spending all this money to fly in European photographers to shoot American ads. And there was a lot of Americans here that weren't getting work. Which is great. It was a trend. The pandemic kind of put that to rest, especially when people started to do photo shoots via Zoom. So you'd have your assistant, Digitech, all that stuff going on, and then next thing you know, the photographer would be telling the assistants what to do via Zoom on the actual at the actual location. It was getting a bit ridiculous, right? So that ended. So I have both these here. I'm wondering. I like both for different reasons. This one, the car looks better because it has more shape. This, the pie looks better. But I do like some of the shadows in here. So maybe we brush some of this stuff in. I feel like the shadows on the food are too heavy. So we'll brush this stuff over the car. And if this stream crashes on me, then I'll probably just record this and put it up on YouTube. I hate starting and stopping over and over again. It's annoying. I'm sure it's annoying for you guys too. Oh yeah, I didn't like the shadow on the pie. I liked the evenly lit pie, but I did like the shadow on the whipped cream because it just gave it a little bit more depth. This top-down scenario. It's funny how it just starts to go soft instantly. I'm going to go 100% with my brush. This way I don't end up with weird edges. I'm just going to kind of keep this side. Oh, bring this side back in here. X. Starting to look cloudy, right? Out there. Here. All right. Now there's a little fun. So if I go here, so this, I don't like this dark edging in here. Although, I don't know, maybe if I made it look better. Still on 30% here. Let's see. Maybe the stuff that was closest to the particular fall off would be darker. Yeah. Gives it a little depth in there. We got the cool car. The thing I don't like is that it seems like there's a little bit of cyan in the yellow now with this particular lighting setup. I'm going to go here, go to my selective color. Let's see what we can pull out of here in terms of the yellows. Zoom in just a little bit. Right here. I like a little bit of that. That's kind of where it's happening. So I'm going to want a little bit of yellow in there. Now, I've always noticed when using selective color that you get this whenever doing any type of adjustments. Like I'll just duplicate this. There always seems to be some type of diagonal triangulation with colors. Like this looks weird. This isn't working with this. There's always some type of. I always end up with a line if I'm doing any type of adjustments. Like this ends up being too much, but if I bring this in, it looks more natural. I don't know why that happens, but it's just what I ended up doing. So delete that layer. Trash that. Okay, yes, please. Bring this back. Look at my blacks here. Kind of a happy medium there. Go to my greens, see if there's any green in here. Well, prefer absolute over relative. Relative is really soft, and absolute gives me more control. So I'm going to my whites here. And there's a little bit of weirdness happening there. This is interesting. So if I kind of blow this out a little bit, gives it a little bit more oomph. We kind of want to keep it in the warmer tone area. Bring a little bit of the yellows back. Cool. Let me turn this off and on. I still like what's going on in there. Might end up being too much later on, but I'll still have it in there and I can adjust it later. Look at this. I don't know. Maybe it does look better. Maybe this looks better now that I have that in there. Won't know until it's all together. So we'll just keep this like this. And I'll worry about cleaning up the car at the very end. I like the shadow that's happening here. I'm looking at the top of the car. It just gives me a little bit more depth, but it does look dirty. So let's see if I brush out, group this, mask, brush. Go to my softer brush here, main soft, perfect. A little larger. I just brush out some of it. See if I can still keep some of the shape without it being so intense. Yeah. Cool. Now, I'm happy with the car. That's not going to change. So I'm going to create a new layer, and this will be my stamp where I do all my work. Stamp tool. And I can't use the magic healing brush because I'm on its own layer. I could have merged everything, but I don't want to do that. I'm doing this taking the risk knowing that I might have to go back and make adjustments to the car, but I'll do it to everything overall. I'd rather just do this separately, that way I have control over it. And sometimes if I do something and I got to go back, I can then just make an adjustment to this layer individually, which still gives me control over, you know, the opacity of this one and whatnot. So that way it all ends up working together. I just want this cleaned up because it's on food. Take our time to make this look nice. Just kind of alt clicking my way through here. Thanks, Christina. Glad to have you back. You get to kind of get and see this entire process, huh? What do you think so far? You've seen anything? Seen everything? The shoot, the ideation. Oops. Kind of coming together of all the original ideas into where we're currently at. We're getting this flashing, which is kind of what makes me think this thing is going to crash. I don't know why it's flashing. You know, I can't wait to see the final spread too. Touching this up. Now, I'm not going crazy with the retouching. I'm just kind of cleaning up some of the imperfections. We don't want to repaint the car. We want to keep this somewhat organic. These, it's funny, these, I'm not sure what they are, like gas caps maybe? I'm not going to remove them. I'll leave them there. Little imperfections in the paint I'll keep. This is probably pie crust on here. Or a little bit of this stuff here. If I were crazy, I'd just repaint this whole thing. Hot chicks. That's interesting. For our time, I guess. All right, Control S. Just want to double check this. Look at that. I'm thinking, as I look at this whole thing, I'm probably just going to throw a solid color over the entire whipped cream. Just has like a grossness quality to me. I feel like there'd be like a hint of color in there. Color. EX Alt Delete. Black. It's just not liking me today. Yankees are all being all funkified. Let me see if I can just select this with the object selection tool. Oh, you know what? I don't want to. Which one's the one I'm seeing? I'm seeing this one. I gotta select this one. See if it'll select just the whipped cream. Might be smart. There we go. Oh, kind of ish. It's good enough for now. Go here. Go V, Alt, Delete. Control D. And I'll just brush out the rest of this here. My hard brush. Main hard. Scale it up. 0% opacity. Here we go. You see what? I'm just trying to warm up some of this whipped cream here. It looks like there's some blue in there. I'm not really sure from what. But it makes it look gross to me. I want to avoid that. So cut this out here. All right. Here's our whipped cream color. Here. A little heavy. Get some more warmth. Click OK. Now I'm going to take this back. Happy medium. There. That's good. Not overbearing, just enough. Now, if I'm looking at this thing, there's things I don't like on here, just that I want to clean up. I need to bring that up. Zoom in here, just around the edges. I just want to clean that up here. Get rid of this crap. This here. And then I'll probably just use the shadow from the some of the other plates that we have. They all match. There we go. Put this out here. All right. There we go. Control S. All right. So I'm going to take this pie. I'm going to link these because I don't want any of this stuff to kind of end up moving. To bring it in. Back to the pie layer here. Gray it out since I know that that was the original one. I'm not really one to get rid of things. Take this here. Shift, drag it in. There we go. Now it's 100%. So I think rather than change the size and start working on it, I'll probably leave it as is, turn it off, and just start working on the next thing that's around here on the edge. That way, because since the composition, the meatloaf is in here. I'm if I brought it in, add size or not. I did. Meatloaf is actually several different shots here. I think I wanted to see which one worked out the best. This one matches the angle and the lighting. This one, because there's one that we had that was kind of heated up to get the color right on it. I think this is another one that we'll kind of work on separately. This is juicy. This one's also juicy, but just moved forward. This one is not juicy. So that one's moved up, slightly juicy. This one gives me this extra edge here. I think, just for the sake of the layout, figure out which one I want to use. I'm just going to cut this one out roughly, so I have an idea. I'll start to piece together the other objects, the other elements that go in here. That'll help me decide which one I want to use. There's no point. I don't know. I like to reduce the probability of having to do something more than once. Here, mask this one off. And we have this one, which is up to the edge, and we would use this one if it were. If we don't, we want the other crap that's on here. We're still alive. Haven't crashed yet. I just jinxed it. Go. Could use the fast selection tool, but I didn't. We're just roughing this out. All right, so I got these in here. What else needs to go in here? I've got my cookies. Let's see which one I want to use in here. This one, cookies by themselves. I think that's more of a backup. Cookies with anything on them. I feel like this dish is the dish. I'm going to use this one just for compositional purposes. Cool. Mask that out. I'm going to look at the shadow again real quick. See, it'll fall off here. It's not perfect. So we'll grab the waffles shadow. Duplicate that into there. Drag this here, scale it up. The wrong key. I feel like I want to rotate this just to match the shadow here. And did I have? Yeah, I did. Go back to group that, mask, gradient, start to kind of like feather this out a little bit. Kind of holding, well, I was holding shift click there. All right. And I've got our cookies in there. All right. I'm going to link these two so they move together. Our cookies, our meatloaf. I'll grab the shadow from the hot dogs. Hot dog, shadow. Oops. Hold down Alt and then drag it into my meatloaf area here. There we go. Bring it down. So, which loaf we meeting here? See, go to layout here. The pie's further down. That's what's going on. So let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to take the comp, lower the opacity here. think this one. I mean, for the composition, looks like this one's going to be the money. Nope, the other one. Let's see if I bring this over here, rotate it a tiny bit. Match my layout here. Just have to remember the actual shoot I brought the plate in. That's there. And we've got, let's see here. Turn that off. And we've got our waffle pasta just for giggles. A meatloaf lasso. Full period. Messed up. Here. Cut that off. Well, the meatloaf. Yeah, we'll mask just on the outside. Control I to invert that. I'll go lasso again here. Cut that out. A little Alt Delete action on this. Alt Delete, fill with foreground color. How's it look? I'll take the layout off. What I'll do is I'll duplicate this, Control J, apply my layer mask, just to be able to have my meat bigger on top. Mask DX, Alt Delete. I'm just going to brush it back in. Control H, X. Use my softer brush just for compositional purposes. That's the reason I did that. 100%. Piece may be some work. It's definitely going to get retouched, whether I so let's just see what my ask is. Okay. There we go. Okay. Move it back a tiny bit. All right. Get loafed out. Here's the cookies. Turn our gummies on. Thought I cut those out. Guess not. This I believe. What's this? Oh, it was on the bottom one. That was my original bowl. This one was actually shot to be there. That's why the lighting is better on it. Right. So we'll just mask that out, cut it out for the sake of composition. Mask some of these out. Let's see here. Just go W. Do the white. Shift click here. Shift click, shift click, shift click. Mask. Control I. Just lasso out the rest of this stuff here. Delete. Oh, foreground color. Alt delete. Control D. There we go. We got some gummies cut out. Got our bowl. Oops. I can't move it. Can't rotate it because I'm stuck with that. All right, so we'll put that there. I'm gonna group it and just mask out the ones I don't want. Probably end up duplicating this. Let's see. So we go. Oops. My hard brush. I'm gonna duplicate this. Delete layer mask. I'm just gonna want to move these around to get more over here. Looks good. Control G. Oops. Let's put a mask on here. Get rid of the other ones I won't want. All right. I just gotta check on the shadow because that's gonna affect everything here. It's pretty biggish. So what I'm gonna do is control click on this. Solid color. Okay. I have to distort this. Actually, I'm gonna do it differently. So if I rotate this almost where it's 90 degrees here, then I can skew it the way that I want it to be, or just go free transform maybe. Hold down shift. There we go. And I'll skew it. That should match the way the lighting is in here. Rotate this. Skew again. Oops. Back. Put that underneath. See if I have my. I'm going to duplicate that. Gray it out for later if I ever need it. Filter, blur. Gaussian blur. All right. I feel like it will be like this. I feel like I skewed it too much. And the shadow's almost acting like it would fall on here, and we don't want that. So we're just going to kind of cheat it closer, scale it a little bit. Alt. There. So I'm going to do Command G, gradient, X. This will be to feather it a little bit, or a lot of it actually. There. Then I'll group this again, mask out the part that I'm seeing up here that I don't want. There. Looks better to me. Now, I'm never going to match here because realistically, oh, you know what? There is light underneath there, isn't there? I'm glad I turned that on. So we're going to go here to this one. I'm going to create my soft, go to my soft brush again. Main soft. We're going to narrow this out. So I'm going to brush inside there. I'm going to make that, give that some light in there. 30. There we go. I like that. Yeah. I'm actually going to duplicate it. I just want to try one thing here. If I take this, skew this part to kind of fall a little bit that way. And just gradient out this, do a new one. Group gradient. I wanted that to fall over there a little bit more. It had been. That looks better to me. You're going to, let's just check the original. It technically, it does fall onto here. So maybe group it again, make a mask, and then just brush out what I don't want. 30%. It's just so harsh. That edge is rounded on the bowl. 10%. Is that 12? About right. There. Now it falls a little harder. We'll just get rid of some of this up here. Go to 30. Yeah, looks good. There we go. Now we're happy. All right. We have our plate of cookies here. Let's look at our original layout. We have to fit. I'm thinking some of our boxcars could probably go down there. So let's turn my pie on. So the burnout pie at size would be this big. Not that exciting. I'm going to take this and I'm going to scale it, but I'm going to keep track of how much I scale it. So I'm going to hold down Alt, scale it the middle, 80 here, smaller. I feel like that's a good size. 76. Burnout pie. I think I might go just a tiny bit smaller, just because I need room for the cookies here. I don't want to be too claustrophobic. Hold down Alt and click and drag again. Good. 72, 71. Keep track of that in case I have changes I got to make to the pie and whatever. All right, now I'm gonna go to my cookies. I'm gonna scale those down, and I'll make a duplication of these. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna group this. Cookies original scale. 9%. Cool. Control J. Figure that out. I'm gonna take this. Hold on. I've never actually duplicated something that's linked and see if it's linked with the stuff that's off. Okay, cool. So it's its own link. All right. Control T. I'm also going to document the scale at which I shrink this down as well. See, we're kind of at a... If I make the cookie smaller, it won't seem realistic. I could make the hot dog slightly smaller. Maybe it'd be one of those things where I push this out, bring this, we'll see. I'm at 86% here. Don't want to make it any smaller. I'll just name it that. And we have the burnout apple that was shrunk. This one was scaled down to 48.36. This one was 100%, but is now 271. There we go. All right, looking at our cookies here. I'm gonna take my pie, bring it down here. I'm going to take the shadow from my cookies and bring it up here. There's my cookies, not that one. Unlink that, duplicate it. crank this back up. I'm going to take my pie shadow here. I'm going to scale that up. I'm starting to notice, like this shadow falls this way. The shadow's a little bit big actually for it. Unlike that, make it smaller. Oops. Created another mask for that. Control T, Alt Shift. And I'll just bring it to the left a little bit. There's the pie, there's the pasta. Now I'm thinking the background's too bright. Let me go here, throw brightness and contrast on here. I just want to see overall how everything looks. It's really hot right here, which I think is okay. It doesn't bother me. Let's look at the cookie's shadow. Original. Yeah, I mean, all right. High shadow might be a little heavy. Burnout pie shadow. Take that down. What's going on here? I'm gonna move the shadow out of the meatloaf. Just control left bracket. Move it down. And then I'll gradient that. Control G. Mask. There we go. Now the white in here looks a little funky, so I'm gonna go back to my pasta. Now, it's going to be slightly darker because it's, well, is it? I was thinking that it's because it's recessed, but this is the same thing. I can take my white and bring it here. It's a little better. That's good there. I'm going to kind of do the same thing with my burnout pie. So I have this masked out, so we're good. I was worried about, I was going to option click this to the pie, but then I realized this has its own mask, so we're good. So I'm going to curves, the same thing. It's like too bright. Yo, Ted, thank you so much. I think I'm going to brush some of these highlights off of this, so I'm not, caps lock. Perfect. Brush is exactly what we want. I don't need these super hot highlights here. Go 60% with this brush. Yeah, I'm just going to brush off of there. Kind of looking at it. The meat is what it is. I think they can adjust the type around there based on how much there is going to be. I'm looking at my composite again. now I'm going to bring my floor in, make my floor. So the floor was originally dreamt up as being checkered shaped. But I think, let's do that. Go into my car here, mask this out. Take a sip. Take a break. Breathe. You just get crazy and you're just so locked into like what's going on that you forget to like take a break and look back, step back at everything. Just trying to log into my other machine, make sure I didn't miss any emails here. We are still trying to earn a living doing this. Yeah, it's so good. Yippity yippity yip. Okay. All right. Right. The edge here. Rush DX0. So yeah, so the idea here with the floor was to do a checkered kind of background. Although it might not work with the type the way it is, and then wanting to read the type. I won't find that out until later, so I'm just going to do it this way. And we're basically going to do checkered super easy. Pretty basic here. So I'm going to go marquee, D, Shift M, drag, square, solid color, click OK, move this to the back. Actually, let's just make them at the top here. Shift drag, make this white. Shift click, Alt Shift. There we go. These, bring it back to center here. I'm actually going to take one of the blacks here and go. Which one's the one? Was it this one? I'll do both white and black. Shift, and they're kind of stuck together there. What I'll do is I'll take this. I'll do Control Alt E, which will merge it together in one. I'll turn this off. I'll duplicate this. I'll drag it over by one square. There we go. And then we'll do Control Alt E. And I'll drag this up here. It should be enough for our floor. So I'll just group that and this so it's all together. Label this checkered floor. And we'll bring that to the bottom. Kind of figure out where that looks the best. So the type still reads there. You still get that it's a checkered floor. I'm going to do Control E, because I have to blur it anyways. I'll turn this off, gray it out, so I know that's my original. I'm going to play with the scale. Type's hard to read there. I feel like it would be... That's pretty good, and you can read the type there. There's a little bit of tension with this part running into there, so I'm going to try that. Do a little bit like that. There, everybody wins. Now, I'll duplicate that, turn it off, like gray, and then we're going to blur this one. because technically the would fall off image wise. Not a lot. Enough. I feel like that's good. I think what I'll even do here is go back to here. I'll just blur that edge a little bit so it looks a little bit more photorealistic. We'll change the strength to like 30. Make it a little bigger. Zoom in. Blur this edge. You know what? I'm going to duplicate that. Turn it off, gray it out. So that way I have my original sharp edge in case I want to go back. 30 seemed a little strong. So I'll go 20. It's good to me. Just need a shadow in there. So Command Shift N, gradient DX. Gradient. I'm going to come in here in the middle and do this. Oops. Yeah, I'll come in the middle here and do this. This way I have control over the whole thing, and I have a little bit more than a gradient that's just shoved into the edge here. We'll do that. I'm actually going to drag this out. This will make it longer. I still want the type to read. And what I'll also do is kind of lighten up the front of the car a bit. So I'm going to go curves, flip it to the vehicle so it doesn't affect the ground. And I'll go lighten. I'll go DX, Alt Delete. And I'm just going to brush this in a little bit. Go super hard, soft. Make it really big. Make it even bigger. 30% X. Just kind of lighten this up. Just want the type to read. 20. There we go. Go to 10%. Just want this to read here. There we go. Dude, welcome to the family, right? You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. Story of my life. Swear to God, I feel like growing up Croatian, all my grandparents did was try and make me eat the food. Every time I saw them, are you hungry? You should eat. And then I went to Croatia and figured out why they do that. Because nobody had any food during the war. Anytime anybody did, they would feed each other. I don't want anybody to go hungry. I'm just kind of darkening up this area here. Just a little distracting how bright it is in relationship to the rest of the food. And then what I'm going to do is kind of reverse the type out here and see if, because I feel like they're going to come to me and be like, hey, this type can't read, can you do this? So I'm trying to, if I can try and get ahead of that and be like, well, white type works. What did I just do? Because this is on multiply, right? So white type reads way better. Trying to see if I go to the move tool here and hit Shift plus. Trying to see if I can get something to where the type reads. There we go. So this does read a lot better. I just have to make this area darker. She was right. They might make me kill the oxidation on the hood. I have feelings about that. They're going to make me do it. Or they might not. They might be like, you know what? We like living on the edge. blotchy in here. Clean it up. All right. There we go. I feel like we can start looking at some of our accoutrements, accessories, tabletop shenanigans that we were thinking about adding in here. Save that. Granted, this and that aren't final. Neither are the cookies. At least gives me a place to start. I think I thought about scaling this down just for a second. Let's see if I can. That's worth it. Those were hot dogs. I'm gonna duplicate that. Put this at 100% because I know that that's what that is. And we'll scale this one down. Those look really high-res, delicious. All right. Excuse me. So I think by scaling this down, it just kind of might give me some room here for the pie. I'm going to take the shadow. Oh, I didn't write down what I scaled it down to. Guess I have to go back. Room for the. No, I'm not going to rotate it. Screw it. Did it again. ADD is fantastic. Scale up. Right. A little bit more scale up. There we go. Go to the right. 94:20. So not too much smaller. Save this. Gives our cookies a little room to breathe, and we can bring in some of our group is this? Meatloaf Shadow. All right. It's not going anywhere. Leave it there. Look for my cookies. There we go. Move the pie up. My shadow isn't moving. There's the shadow. Hello. Now I'm starting to like how this is coming together. We have this hole here, which is fine. The pie I like bigger. Like the cookies can come down. Move to the left a little bit. This is like super tight here. I feel like we just gotta like move this over. Pastas get moved over here. All that work on that Parmesan and the parsley. And we just welcome to real life. Golden Camaro for the Golden Corral? Probably. I feel like that would help them, right? You'd think their target demo would be people who drive Camaros. All right, we're going to our cookies. Move them over. I feel like this is coming together here. Now we can get some of the cool things that we shot. There's a little bit of tension where there's just like this huge block. I'm going to undo what I just did. We're going to move that back over. We'll just move it down and to the left. We'll have it run into the type. They can figure it out. This will at least make room for some really cool stuff. Because compositionally, as we'll draw this in here, I'll show you what's bothering me. We've got let's go to like a red color. So our eyes start, let's see here. This 100%. All right. So we'll look at this thing in whole. Let's see here. Save, Control 0, Control Option 0. There we go. All right. I was like, why isn't this thing filling the screen every single time I hit the command? Because there's it's cropped. So looking at this thing as a whole, my eye is kind of competing as to where to start in here, right? So I have this in here. So something, and then so the tension that's created here with these objects makes my eye go here. Then these hot dogs kind of take me this way, and this line pushes me down this way. I run back into here. And these two have a tension that then brings me here with this line, because it's parallel to this, kind of bringing me into here. Now this little hot spot then takes my eye this way, right? Down here. So do these lines going this way as well. This little contrast here brings me there. While I'm coming this way, this then supports this line here with a little tension. And then this line going this way kills all the horizontals we got going this way to then push me back to this contrast spot, and then where we have these checkered flags out of the shot, right? Dream composition. Now, if with the cookies where they're at, if the cookies were, to me, over here, then I kind of lose this. Make this a blue. Hello, super terrific. How are you? I'm just going over composition right now because I'm a little, shall we say, ostracized. So if I put the plate here, this focus then becomes smaller, right? A little bit here, and then, but when then we have all this stuff lines up, right? This is then in competition with this, which is then in competition with. So you've got this, then this bar that's kind of breaking up all this really cool horizontal movement through here. So that's why that little plate being where it's at makes a huge difference. So I think I'm going to start looking at I'm going to save this. And then we have a bunch of, I don't even think we've processed any of the accessories that go in here. I go to processed in my folder here. We don't have any wrenches or nothing. So if I go back here and I draw up my composition here, I'm looking. I could probably, I'm gonna actually draw what I want in here. Take this back. I'm looking. Get back a little bit more. I could probably have something here. New layer. Oh, I have a new layer. 100% with my brush. Make this a different color. Orange. No. So actually, we'll make it white. So we probably have something here. Something here. Maybe something here. If I were to bring anything in here, I'd want it to be kind of going either directly horizontal, not too horizontal, just slightly off horizontal this way. This is kind of bothering me now. Maybe we'll do something small like this. These then end up competing with each other, so we'll erase this one. We can have something here, as long as it's shaped like this, takes up this type of space. Do we put anything here? Because this is kind of really lots of tension right there. So Maybe something here. I don't think I can put anything on this side because I'll just compete with the type. Maybe something this way up here. A little something. I do know that I have these. Let's see here. If I go to Lightroom, some of the stuff I shot involved. We have some tools here. They were kind of wanting to avoid the tools. Got some toy cars. One thing I do have here is these. Thanks for tuning in. You read. Oh, that's cool that you're a reader of Car and Driver magazine. So this is one of the stories that's going to be in the next issue. They're doing automotive themed food. Mike. Yeah, the car is shaped as a meatloaf. I'm going to play with darkening the sides so it reads a little bit better as a car. I don't think they can do Texas Chrome, but let's see here. If I go back to here. So I might be able to throw this in here or this way. So let's see. So if I go to, I need something that's lit in this direction. So I need the light at the top. And I need it going this way. So what do I have? Got these. That might work. Right there. Ooh, that might actually work. Anything? I kind of like these two. What angle's better? Probably the other one, huh? I mean, I could cheat it these and rotate them just slightly to the left. See, I also have the twofer. I just feel like the twofer's so safe. Hey, you might want to definitely have a snack nearby, or you can make the stuff in there. They're gonna have how to make these things, these recipes, on the TikTok videos. I actually have to process out two of the. So one of the things we did, since do we have a few people here? We do. I'll go back over it again. So one of the things, you know what? I'll just process these out now. One of the things we did was a stop motion animation of this pie, right? For TikTok. So what we did was, let's see if I can get rid of this frame here. There we go. Bring this down. Basically, this is started there. The car starts to burn out, right? So this will be a stop motion animation I have to process out. It's cool because it started to look fun, and I was like, this is supposed to be crazy. Just go nuts. So that's kind of where we ended at. That was so much fun that the car looked like it was burning out. So then we did the same thing with the meatloaf. We got in there. We were shooting the meatloaf, and we were like, hey, what if this meatloaf burned out, right? So we're here. We have our meatloaf. Sizing right. 55. 33. There we go. We got our meatloaf, right? And then we just, what's good with meatloaf? Mashed potatoes, right? So you see the mashed potatoes come in. We get all crazy as this thing burns out. So that was that. Lots of fun. And this is the first time they've let me, usually everything's pretty hush-hush, do a job on stream, which is pretty cool. There's no embargo on the meatloaf. So let's see here. So I wanted to figure out something to drop in there. So get the layout here. I'll probably process a few of these out. So I want something to go in here. Maybe here. So I'll process both these out. Export, I believe it should do where everything else went. Yeah. Okay, cool. Folder. Export. So export those. What else we got in here? We'll do the twofer just so we have it. What else is there? We have a single. Let's see here. I mean, a single could go up there, right? So I get the angle right. Like this is the one. All right, so we got that one. What else we got in here? I like some of these arrangements in here. Just the what are these called? C clamps. You guys would know better than me. Hey man, thanks for coming, Mike. All right. Whoa! Thanks for the follow. All right. We'll take. I feel like this looks better. What about this? Classic wedding. I mean, most people are married to their cars, aren't they? Let's see. And then I want to throw. I did some arrangements in here. I want to look at here and here is kind of where I want to put some tools. So I need something at this, not straight horizontal, just off horizontal. So something kind of just off horizontal. This is all very vertical. Just off horizontal. Ugh, so close to what I wanted. This fit. I'm wondering if the wrench slash clips would work. It's too bad. Of course, the one thing you need is the thing you didn't shoot. I don't know, this might work, so we'll process that. And then maybe one of these in here. Like this is kind of cool. Export that one. Cool. And then I might even use the car from that. What else is there? That's basically it for those accessories. So I'm going to go to my bridge here. And what I'm going to do is process them all in the same, load them all up in the same file here. Let's see. This one. This one. Control click. Clickety click. 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 All right. Tools. Photoshop. Load. Photoshop layers. Here we go. Thanks for joining me today, guys. This is a lot of fun. It's usually pretty boring doing this by myself. So here we go. All right, I'll save this as layered. And I'll call this accessories. Cool. Bring this to the front here. I'm just going to look at the layout and see what wants to go where. Let it guide me. So I'm going to turn off my little composition drawings in here. Just look. We've got here. Got this one. Probably this one. We'll go in here. We'll do the selection tool since this is just kind of like a rough. drag. There we go. Mask that. Drag it in here. I'm at the top, which is fine. I do want to go underneath the magazine layout, so I know if I'm interfering with type or not. We'll go here. It looks a little blank. That's the problem. These would have silverware in them, and because this is just like laid over, I can't use it. That's what's wrong with it. That's why it looked fake. I couldn't figure it out at first. I should have put silverware in these. Live and you learn. All right, so I might reshoot this part. It seems dumb, but I like to be authentic. I don't know why I didn't think about that. All right, so we'll select these, mask, drag this over again. Ooh, I didn't think of put silverware in there. So again, another reason why I memorized what the scale of everything was when I first brought it in. So this way I can write it down. 48.36, we'll put this at scale with everything else. 48.36. That's literally to scale with everything else that's in there. Yay, that's why we did that. All right, so it ends up, it's not horrible. Always the way you want to start something you're working on. It's not horrible. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's frustrating. I'm going to think on this for a second here. Use my brain thoughts. Any suggestions, guys? I take suggestions. I can't give you photo credit, but I can give you, but I can say you guys are amazing. Anything? Nothing? Alrighty then. Let's see here. All right. You could lay out the tools and napkins like they're forks and spoons. That's kind of the idea behind why I shot them the way I did. I'm just a little, I don't know, I just don't love what I'm doing. Select, modify, contract, 2 pixels. I'll put this in a group, and then we'll mask that up again. Why is this blue? It should not be. This just kind of lets me not see the white around the edges for now. I'm going to control click this, solid color. This will be my shadow. Put that underneath. Filter. I think we got the right Gaussian blur in there. Let's see. Do not. I'm going to duplicate that like I normally do. Layer that gray so I know what it is. Come back here. Filter blur, Gaussian blur. I think we had, see, this is pretty extreme here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go Control T. We'll go Shift drag. And then a skew. And we'll tone that down a bit. So to me right now, this thing has got a little too much attention on it. So we're going to try to adjust some of the... Where's that cough come back again? Let's see here. If I go curves, you know what, screw that. We'll go brightness and contrast. Go directly to the source. Flip it to there. Brightness, contrast. Now that looks like it's kind of in the right range of light there. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just to fix the mask a little bit. We're not going to do any retouching on it because, again, I kind of just getting my bearings for where the composition will be. But I know that just that little bit of white around the edges of the napkins is going to draw my eye to it, and I don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to clean that up. My favorite hard brush, wherever the hell it went. There we go. Main hard. There we go. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it. You could put them under the car-shaped text headline. Okay, but they don't usually like the type to correlate with the objects that are on the page. Kind of not their style-ish, I guess you could say. Just gonna kind of brush some of this white out here, since mask isn't perfect. This is just so I don't end up hating this for not being perfect. They look like napkins that are getting out of the image. You could put whipped cream on the end of the napkin. I don't have that kind of time. You go crazy with whipped cream and reshoot something. But I like where you're going with this. This idea was actually a recommendation by the creative director. This is not mine, so I'm not going to take credit for it. That's why creatives do creative, because they're good at it. I could keep that little wiry piece right there, but I don't want to. In there. Brush this out. Another thing to keep in mind is this image only prints. I mean, they sent me the dimensions. I haven't looked at. I guess I have looked at them, but I didn't like apply them yet. Because the creative director basically told me it's the exact layout, but at like a slightly larger scale. So I'm gonna go with what the creative director told me. I know that I'm on par. I believe they only print out at like 175 dpi, not 300. That's kind of what their printing is at. Got that. All right, this here. Another thing we can probably play with right now. Let's go to my selective color. If I go to my highlights here, up at the top, my whites. See, my whites would normally be seeing blue. So I'm going to see if I can get these to be a blue color. It matches the, here we go. Darker, less cyan, maybe. Get this table color of the table in here. Put my eye a little bit. There we go. Right there. Okay. Now this is basically going to be for these areas up here that are they're seeing through to the white on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is brush this out of here. And this is really only going to affect the white areas. See through the napkin under the blue. So you see how that works. All right. Still a little heavy, the shadow. Break it up a tiny bit there. I feel like this area might be slightly darker. So I'm just going to duplicate this. Turn it off. Come here. Make this lighter. It's going to match the other ones. Then I'm going to come here. Make this full black. Brush. And then just brush in the shadow I want just underneath this. So 40. This seems a little better. All right. We've got our napkins in there. I want to bring those rings in, I believe. Save this. Still have this layout. See here. We've got our rings in here. Use the Take Care Buddy. Take Care Super. Super terrific. All right. Fine. Cut that out. I want the white part gone. So it's going to make me do this by hand, isn't it? All right. DX0 hard brush. Do this by hand. Shift clicking our way through these things. I'm going to fill this with 50% gray. Edit fill. This is just so I can see what I'm masking here, rather than being blind. Oh, there are these little tiny white areas too. We'll just block this out for composition then, because I guess a lot to cut out in there. At this point, I'm just trying to get this layout approved so I can work on the tiny details. But I think I will hit the cookie up in this particular session, just because that's something I also want to kind of perfect. Cookies are a little homemade for my taste. The writer loves them. That's all that really matters, right? But if I can use my skills to my advantage, then maybe it'll get more work. Maybe people like the cookies that much better. Maybe it's just in my head, which is usually what it is, right? Things that bother us in our pictures are kind of just our own issue and not an actual problem. It's a little bumpy for the edges, but this will be tiny, so I'm not too worried about it. Fill this in. Cool, let's save that. So I have that back here. This is like the most boring part of this whole thing, but it's part of the job. Click there, fill that in. It's weird. Like I was saying, like the stuff that's like only things you would notice. I mean, right. I could just not care. And normally I feel like I sometimes split the difference between not caring and doing what's best for the photo. But I think at the end of the day, it just feels better, right? Even though you may have moved on, forgotten about this whole thing. Granted, it is just a food spread, and I'll probably never get hired to shoot food again. Or maybe this is the one piece that'll go viral and define me. think that would bother me. Either way, you don't know. So you just kind of make everything you do your best, right? I had a client like that who took pride in letting me know that my favorite thing was something that they probably weren't going to use. I think it was so that way I didn't get an ego when I do something amazing, and that would just keep driving me. I also think he took pride in just effing with me. I'll have him on one day, and he can talk about being the client. He's one of my favorite people. He is retired, which is also fun. So I can mess with him. Okay. Let's see here. I'm trying to cut this out, making this look nice. Slightly rough, but not too rough to where I don't like it. If the client wants changes, then I can fix some of the things I don't have time to do. Yeah, definitely. That's why I'll send this off. Usually I'll be okay on time. I did kind of get started on this thing on the weekend. We did shoot it Thursday, Friday. So I'll have some time to make those changes. Don't want to go crazy here, but I do want it to look good. Right this area here. Just move in on this here. I'm like, I feel like I got to worry about the cutouts in between now. Try not to let it bother me, even though I will eventually get to it. It'll just be so small that only you and I are going to notice for now. I don't even think you'll see it when it's that other size. So I scale this down by like 48%. It's already, I don't even know how zoomed in we are. More than 200% for sure. All right, save this. I get into my layout. I think it would be cool somewhere in here, right? It's tiny. And, oh, yeah. And then we got to scale this down to be the right size. Command G, we'll call this C clamp. I think that's what it's called. Control J, just so we have the original size. And then Control T, and that would be 48.36. Oops, 48.36. Tab. Return. There it is, at size. I'm just going to take this and go contrast, Control Alt G. And we'll go to these settings here. Make it slightly darker. There we go. And then I'm going to Control click on this, solid color. Do black. Control J. Move these shadows down beneath the actual object. They'll be within the folder. Turn that off. We'll gray these out because I know that they're originals. And then let me see if I want to transform this. Go this way. And let's go in this on a skew. And free transform a tiny bit. Filter blur. Oh, we did use Gaussian blur. That is really big. I think the blur will be less because it's a smaller object. Filter blur, Gaussian blur. We'll do way less. I feel like that's closer. Like a 10. Then we'll go Control G. We're going to look at all this fill light in here. That'll kind of take that back a little bit. slowly putting a gradient on these. I'm going to, it does look a little odd since it seems like they fall so far away. Shadows do. I'm realizing now that this object is smaller, so I'm just going to bring it in there a little bit. Skew this the other way. That seems a little bit more realistic there. Yeah. Mo better. Cool. I'm just going to take this back a tiny bit. See how far we want to go. So the interesting thing about this is it's going to have a cast shadow. And it's going to have a drop shadow, which I think kind of just cements it on the ground. So I'm going to control click this again, go above here, go solid color, black again. I'm just going to move this, control plus. Because it looks like it's floating, right? But we want it to be on the ground, on this. So I've got that there, right? I'm going to group this, mask, DX, fill it with black. And I'm going to brush in where I want it to be touching the ground. Go back to my main soft here. I'm going to narrow this and then go perpendicular to the direction of the light. And then brush in 30% where I think this thing is touching the ground. Probably here. And then definitely along the edges of here. It falls too far away from the item. A little better. All right, so then I'm going to go kind of, let me see here. I don't like the gradient on there, so I'm going to brush in what I want. Go here and make this slightly wider. Again, perpendicular to the light. Go 30%. Try this stuff closer to the object. Oops, too much. Too much. And then I feel like this is too heavy here now. It's a little bit more real. Drop shadow looks good to me. Or, yeah. Just need the cast shadow to look a little bit better. Of course, I've lost it because I didn't label anything. Let me go. Drop. Shadow. Cast shadow. Brush here. About 30%. Right? 30? Is it white? Revealing. It falls too far away. It looks better to me. I think it does. I think it is a little too big. It's better. Yeah. Look more. So I'm going to skew. I just want to skew the front here because this wouldn't fall that far off. It's better. There. Stand a tiny bit. Yeah. See, this part looks like it's falling off. So I'm going to warp this. Bring this end in here. Not under there. There. Looks more realistic to me. Slide to the right a little bit. Yeah, and then it's just, I think it's just overall too bright. Yeah. I think doing that, I actually want to make it fall off bigger. That's darker. There. Cool. Me gusta. Control S. Right. You could put that there and bring in some more tools. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to group all this stuff together. The C clamp is all together right here. Yeah. Bring that in here. I see where it would fit. Looks a little placed if I put it right there. But this is, if I put this underneath my cookies. Damn cookies. C clamp. Oh, I want to grab my C clamp. What shadow is this? Control click. Oh, that's my napkins, which I'm gonna now label. Let's put this under the cookies. Somewhat believable without being a major distraction. We're getting warmer. Okay, so I'm gonna take my napkins, group them all together. Control G. Napkin. Not blue. No cola. All right. We'll put those behind our pie. Because it would catch some of the pie shadow, right? And the meatloaf, sure. All right. Move this layout up here. Hit S. I'm going to take a small break. With that said, I'm going to do a little Be Right Back music for you. And we're back. Thanks for being patient. All for you. All right, here we go. We are now looking at, so we got these in here. Looking at some tools. These are still a little too hot for me. Go to my let's see what we got so far. I think the saturation's a little too hot on this thing. Use saturation. Control G. There we go. Because the shop rags aren't that bright. I've been using the shop. The color isn't affecting it. The brightness and contrast is. Saturation, maybe a little bit more saturation. Yeah, that's better. My eye's not going to it. I think you can throw probably something in here. Bring those cookies over. I go get my cookies and my C-clamp. I'll just start walking this over here. Bring it down a little bit. There was the issue. Let's see. Do I have a white ring around here? I do. Where is that? Oh, that's the layout, the mag layout. So I'll do this so it doesn't drive me absolutely ballistic. Cohere, click on this. I'll just mask, and that gets rid of that little white outline there. Whew, feels better. Okay. This is hard to read here. This is cool there. I feel like I could probably even throw that toy car in there. We've got this toy car in one of these layouts here. See, that's bomb. Right? Am I crazy? Well, I feel like that other layout's, this one's cooler. This one cooler? This one, this one, this one. Try this one. I'm actually just gonna copy C, Command V, selection tool. This is just for S and G's. I like to say, mask that out. There's our car, mask. Yay. All right, so we're going to scale this down and match the rest of the stuff at 48.36. 48.36. There you go. Thank you. Click solid color. Black. Control J. Turn it off. Filter blur, Gaussian blur. Let's see what the last one. That looks good. These beneath it. This one below that one. Oh no, that's right. I usually keep the main one. Go gray. Toy car. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad everybody's getting excited about this. You should be getting excited. This is awesome stuff. Match this shadow here. Rotate this to be straight vertical. I'm going to narrow it. Shift. There. I want to match this. It's getting fill from the other side. So I'll go back to straighten this thing out. It's getting fill from the white. Pretty close to. There we go. I believe that. Easy opacity on this. I missed that. 90. That's about right. But the car is still super bright. Curves. Brightness and contrast is what we like. Cool. That's fun. Maybe make the shadow just a little bit darker. That's fun. I like that. Are these competing with each other? Ish. But we'll keep it for now. I like capitals. Who I am. I'm just going to rename the stuff as caps. So I can feel human. There we go. All right. Let's save where we're at. Control 0. Let's see what we got. It's a little floaty, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit more on the brightness here. Better. Something here. Does this work? It does. There was another one of these that I put, and does this work here? Oh, this kind of works there. Let's see. Easy there, Chief. Selection got a little crazy. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Oh, this is something we want. Yeah, I know. I'm on not on the layer. Sorry. So mad. Adobe's like, no, don't do that. Okay. Mask. V, click, shift, drag. There we go. Bring this out of the toy car folder. New its own area here, and we're going to scale it down to our 48.36. 48.36. That size now. It's really big. And the other issue is that this is at the top of the frame, so technically I wouldn't be looking straight down at it. We have to look for other things. This is like this. Work there technically like that, but then it breaks up my flow and then makes everything super vertical. We want something going diagonal. Look at my images here. Let's see, Lightroom. Might have shot something that worked there. Just maybe this. Export with previous. Oh, I have this one. What? 0942. 0942. What? I'm what? I'm crazy. That's not the same image. Oh, that's that one. I guess I have it there. Interesting. Duplicate that. Delete the layer mask. Mask. Not mask, but selection tool. Whoop. Scale that down to 48.36. Turn off our other tools here. It is not. I'm just gonna see compositionally. What? I want something like this. This. Maybe something that doesn't look good there. That's kind of ish working. If I have anything vertical. See the other image. Vertical ish. Turn that back on. Anything in that realm of happiness. Vertical ish. This is a cool. Let's try this one. Export with previous. We already have that one too. 944. How do I already have these images processed? Literally right there. Amazing. Select it. I'll try two of these. See this one? Mask. J. Delete layer mask. This one. Tool. I keep forgetting that it's also W because I'm so used to using the magic wand. I just started using this tool. Which I grown to, oh no. I've grown to love. Here we go. This is great for just quickly comping stuff. Drag these in here, scale them together, 48.36. Ooh, hey, how you doing? This could kind of work. This, eh. I'm really trying to work this in here, aren't I? Just not going to happen. Bye. Thank you. Delete. All right. This one has potential. Ish. Could get away with rotating this a tiny bit. We don't lose the light. Angle starts to get just a tiny bit funky in there. Let me move this down. Let's just do this. Control click, solid color. Solid color, black. Okay, duplicate. Turn it off. Filter, Gaussian blur. Move this to underneath. Group. Call this wrench. I probably spelled it wrong, but that's okay. That's what I do. There, that's about right. Group that, gradient, X. Start feathering this off here. Control G. Yeah, I like my brush like that. Mask. Come up here. Caps lock. 30%. Just knock that back. It's going to have a lot of fill in there because of the light. Too far? Or it's too heavy? Probably too far from the object. Just shift click and look at the shadow that's there. All right. About right. It's actually pretty close. Just a little distortion in there. We'll do that. It's gone. Turn this stuff off. It doesn't like it. Unlink that. Control T, warp. So it just doesn't want to show me what's happening. I have to do it again. I don't know why it doesn't want to show me. Just how it is. Okay. Cool. Let me turn all this stuff back on. So we're just getting I see what's going on here. So if I go shift, there's a little bit of fill happening in here. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to make this darker, actually. Go. Oh, it's too much. There. And the metal is actually filling the shadow. We go 30%, and we're just going to brush this out on this side. That's what's going on. There. A little bit of fill from the metal side. That looks right. All right. Now, take my wrench, put it underneath my cookies. Put it by the C-clamp. Still too bright. All right. Yeah. Seems like there's too much stuff there. see. It's not linked here. This is not linked there. All right. I'm just trying to see what this looks like if I rotated it. Drag this here. Rotate this. I don't know. Just let the art director figure it out. That would probably mean just a little darker. I don't know if it works. Feels like it's kind of conflicting with everything. Feels like we need like cookie crumbles or something. Something in there. Maybe if I bring the C clamps around over here. I feel like that's better. A little darker. Yeah, it's more realistic. I think. We'll bring some of this pasta cheese over. Pasta cheese. Pasta. Where's your cheese? Parsley, shadow, cheese. There we go. Control J. Bring that over here. Put it underneath everything. Take it out of its area. I'll call this pasta cheese. Cheese 2. Don't get confused. Bring this to where my C clamps are, and we're going to put it underneath it. There we go. I mean, that's a little bit more believable. And this, yeah. Problem solving on the fly, guys. That's what we do. All right, now, this is a little dark up here. This is a little funky. I want to brush over it just to see. I feel like, let's see here. You want to hold it? Just admiring the composition. Now I'm looking. I feel like this can go. If we just bring some more of this stuff, maybe take some of this stuff from this side and bring it in here so it's not so much. Cool. All right. So we were right here looking at everything. Cool. I think we're going to go to town on those cookies here in a minute. I just want to darken the edge of these napkins here. Let me go to my curves. That's what I want. Control Alt G. Darken this here. Lift up those blacks so we're not so heavy. There we go. And we'll just gradient this out. Now the fall off to me looks a little more real. It's probably just a little too heavy. Lift that up a little bit. Oh. I like where the blacks are. I'll just take the pixie back. Yeah. Now, this meatloaf, I feel like could be bigger. Well, maybe not bigger, but it's meatloaf shadow. Mm. Here. Have this. I definitely don't like all that area around the plate, so we're gonna go with the tighter one. I see what I did here. I combined these two. Oh, I duplicated the two. What? Oh yeah, I made it smaller on there. Is that what I did? I made it bigger. All right, we'll have to do that in a separate file. So don't mess that up. But I think I want it smaller on there. So big. Put this here. Do that. Copy, shift. Go that way. A little bit this way. Now, we did shoot, believe it or not, the mashed potatoes behind it, which I kind of want to bring in. Bring this above. Above the mask. And see if it works. I'm just going to change the opacity, pull that down. Line it up. There. And we'll just brush the mashed potatoes in. Mask, DX, Alt Delete. It was actually smaller. Interesting. Those look cool. Let's get rid of this stuff here. I don't know. Does it read like a burnout mashed potato? I don't feel like it does. Yeah. Probably not. Maybe let's see if I scale it up. It does look slightly-ish better. It's like it can come back now that it's longer. Here. Hide that. Meatloaf shadow. There's a lot of stuff there. And we'll just slowly come back with that. I feel like that's good. Maybe it wants to be bigger. Hold on. So you can do Control Alt E. Turn this stuff off. Meatloaf. Meat load. That would have been bad. There's that. Control T. Alt drag. Bring it up. Just kind of look at the whole thing. What is it actually at size? I'm going to go to my meatloaf. Oh, it's got to be at size. Let's just see. I'm going to turn all this off. Bring my meatloaf in. It's weird to say that I'm bringing in my meatloaf. That's what's going on. I want the shiny one. Is it the shiny one? Oh, yeah, it's the shiny one. Really shiny. This one is absolutely shiny. Okay. We'll bring this one up. I'm just going to click and drag this in here and scale it down. Image. Control T. Control T. Scale that to 48. The rest of the stuff. Bro, you telling me, dude? It's all about the butter, Mike. So scale down 46.8. 48.36. Totally wrong. That's the size it's at. Let's go with the select object selection tool here. Selected it. Splendiferous. That's the size it is at scale. I feel like it needs to be bigger, right? Am I crazy? But then you can't tell what it is. We did that. So I'm going to select this thing out on its plate. Right here in the middle. I'm going to duplicate it, apply layer mask. We're going to take, screw it, I'm going to rotate both of these where they're straight. I'm going to go to this tool since I can't rotate how I select it. Can I? No. Okay, so we'll go here. I'll select, I basically just want kind of the lettuce area. That's a plate. Will it give it to me? It does. Turn this one on. Scale it down. Put this in the middle. Like this wants to rotate a tiny bit to the right with the plate. There we go. That to the left. All right, let's see where this wants to be. I'll do one more thing here. I'm literally just going to take this. Oh, hold on. Control D. Here's our plate. Control J. Duplicate that. Gray that out. To apply layer mask. I go marquee, and I want this plate to be in the back, closer to the there. Control D. Take these two. Control T. Rotate it to where it was down here. Dude. Feel like making me happy. Shadow back. Turn this off. Turn this one off. Shadow. I feel like that's where the shadow would be. Yeah. Maybe slightly lighter on this side. Try to match that a little bit. There we go. Yeah. This is getting crazy. That looks way better though. See more of it. Hashtag success. And I like the layout, the lettuce, the meat looks good. It's the shiny meat. We just need to figure out which one that is. I'm going to save this layout. Starting to feel like these are still a little dark. Oh, these I got too dark. So go to my napkin. Lift this up. There, and then we'll take the saturation down. Tiny bits. There. Okay. So, time to work on the meat. Make that sexy. Save that so I have that as a copy. Excuse me. All right, this is our meat. This is our hero. So let's save this as layered. That way I have it. Large format. PSB. Where'd you go, PSB? There we are. Layered. Save. Okay. F. Brush. We'll get the whole plate here. This is a win. Brush DX. Alt. Oops. Go lasso. Get this started. We go mask on here. Shift N. Edit fill 50%. Ray. Move that down. Why do I? Oh, that's weird. Control Shift D brings up the last mask, the last selection you made, which is also fantastic. I don't know how it got deleted. It's like this meat looks great in itself, but needs work. I think we could actually shiny up this meat by. I'll show you in a second here. Let's get this masked out. I'll just kind of roughly cut this out, and then I'll go back and invert it. Brush, and then just give that part a tip again. Back here, just keep cutting out. I'll probably use, since this is high resolution, that's going to be shrunk down, the object selection tool on this to like roughly get what I'm looking for. Or I'll use the wand and go after the white area. Funny, I love spending time on stuff that is not going to end up being in the shot. But I'm going to care anyways. You never know. They could be like, move the meatloaf to the top. I'll be like, hashtag success. I already cut it out. Big. There we go. And there we go. Normally I would brush this out, but we're just going to go lasso, 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 lasso. Shift I, Option Delete, Control D, and there it's cut out. All right, now we need to cut out the lettuce and the meat. So Control J, Control S. We'll call this one plate. Call this one meat and lettuce. I can't spell, so don't judge. All right, plate. Turn this off. Go to our plate. It's already been cut out. We'll apply our layer mask. Just going to duplicate this because that's how I work. Gray this out. That's my original mask. Plate is right here. We're going to try the selection tool here. You know what? I'm just going to go with my wand. See how much further we... Oh, yeah. See, I'm already starting to get... This is what I don't want. Let's see here. Work with me. All right. I click on this white a few times. I'm going to go Q, brush. I'm going to color all this stuff back in. I'm in quick mask mode if you are not familiar with that. And our lettuce here intact. So this, to me, is the quickest way to do this and most accurate. Again, we're shrinking this down. So what I'll probably do is, take this selection. I'll make this a selection, and then I'll shrink it by a pixel or two, and then make that the actual mask. I'm going to zoom in here a tiny bit. So I don't end up with white spots in my lettuce. There we go. Looking tasty. Let's do a little quick sweep in case there's anything in the middle here. Get it picked up. All right. All right. Q. I see there's pieces in here, so but it might not show up. So I want to go minus Q, control I, Q, and then select modify contract. I think I only need to do one on this. Let's see if that masks this out. It does. So I'm going to, I need the meat cut out anyways. Just for the plate though. Maybe this is the plate and this one's the meat. I'm going to go lasso. Just click my way around here. I just want this mask to be completely black. All the way around. So there's no issues with extra pieces sitting anywhere or something that didn't get picked up. I've had stuff go to print where I've found extra pieces because I Control Shift I, Option Delete, Control D. Oh, see? There. Nice clean mask of our meat. So we'll relabel this. Meat plate. I don't know what happened here. Meat plate. And we'll go with this one. Meat plate. Meat only. There's our plate. There's our meat. Move these down. And this will help me decide whether or not I need to like shear up that mask where I'm seeing through on the plate. Dude, this is the hottest meatloaf I've ever worked on. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I'm actually not a meatloaf fan, but the job requires diversity. We will shoot meatloaf. So I want to get this scaled up right. I'll look back at my reference image. I'm actually going to drag that in here just so I have it. Control G. This is the one I made. Yeah. V, shift click. This way I have a reference. It's not going to be the right size. Doesn't matter. I'll scale it up. But it lets me know what I was having. What's going on here? I'm trying to zoom out. There we go. Type? What the hell's going on? There we go. I hit Command T and it goes to type. Control T. Or Control T, isn't right? Anyways. Put a difference here. Get this all lined up. Lettuce and the meat. So we'll get the plate lined up. This will help me because I don't want to go smaller in scale. All right. Cool. There's that. We'll turn that off. Actually, this is my meat plate. So I'm going to duplicate this. Control J. Gray, turn it off. It's my original. Control T. So I'm lining this up with my lettuce from the comp. And when it's pretty close, I'll go black. It's lined up exactly with it. The only problem is I didn't have it scaled properly, so it's not going to line up. I rotated to make my transform, so it's not going to show. I've got this part lined up here-ish. Let's see. Oh, didn't want to do that. I want to keep everything perpendicular. I'm just trying to let that corner lined up. There we go. I'll put this here, and we'll any changes I make. I didn't want to rotate it. Just get the scale properly, and we'll work rotating it afterwards. Pretty close, because if I start going this way, that corner's lined up, this corner's lined up. The scale's probably right. It's just the rotation. Okay, covered. Turn this one off. This is our meat plate. Looking pretty tasty, dude. All right. Lettuce falling over. Probably need more shadow on here, so I'm going to go to my plate. Solid color. Control-Alt-G. Oops. Okay. Control-Alt-G. We're actually going to pick the color of the shadow on the plate. Then we'll just brush in what we need. DX, Alt-Delete. So I need this here. And here. Put that on the edges. So we'll go soft brush. Here, rotate. Oh, 1 second, placing a food order here. Drum roll with raw vegan protein. Cool. Okay. All right, I'm gonna brush up that back, bring that highlight back in. There, keep that hard edge. Oops. If you want it harder, it's pretty hard here. So it's just really just on the edge there. Boom. There. Hot spot. We'll bring this back in here. Boom. 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 Hot. Oh, you know what? That actually wouldn't be in there because it's covered. Cool. All right. Let's look at the original plate again. Oh yeah, there's some shadows in here, so we'll keep this right here ish. So we'll turn this off, and we'll bring some shadows back in there. Cool. My meat's looking pretty cut out. I just want to get close up here and see if we have any. Yeah, see, that is actually plate that's in there. So from here, hard brush, DX0, just brush that out. All right, that stays. I don't care about that. I'm going to see it. Better to double check than to have to fix it later, right? Yeah, good thing I checked. I wonder if this is the first meatloaf retouching ever done on Behance. If not, there should be a subcategory. Be a hot topic. Maybe we should do the meatloaf challenge. Who's up for that? Everybody. There we go. And then I'm going to bring, in case I see this area too, I'm just going to get rid of it. Go here, brush some of these. Basically fall here, here. Real to me. What am I actually picking up here? There's a hole in there. You know, I don't mind that I'm seeing that from below, as long as I'm not seeing meat. So I'm pretty happy with all this meatification. Oh, you know what? There's one more part here. Zoom in. I always stream the weirdest projects. So bizarre. Never like, here's a model. Put him in the background. It's always like, I think the first thing I did was like called it like a Photoshop mashup, where I went in and basically created an idea based on a random word generator. And the idea was a cowboy playing guitar on a train, riding a fly that was strapped to a train, basically being transported. Riding a fly, being transported, and to an audience of chickens. The most weirdest shit ever. Stuff, sorry. There we go. I'm just going to make the shadow match that rather than having cut all the way through here. Go brush. Here, turn it this way. Interesting. That's there. So I'm going to do Command J, Control G, fill this with black, and we'll just make it darker. How we're going to make it darker? We're going to select this in here. It should match everything else. 30%. If I throw some of that in here, go 20. The problem with shadows sometimes is stuff starts to look like it's floating. See, that starts to look like floating-esque. Is this weird? Is that in there? Let's see. It is in there. I'm going to let this be lighter. Match the plate that's underneath. This be lighter too. Would it be shade-esque? Turn this way. Match the edge of the plate. If I paint it, and it shows up normal. Go here. 20%. Bring that out. Tiny bits. Just tiny bits. Right. I want this side to be darker. And then the stuff that's just like directly underneath here. All right. That's enough mealism for me. Oh, did I say that? I did. That's bigger. Now, the meat looks slightly off-center, even though we lined it up with our original shot here. So this is where I'm going to start. Is it still separate from there? It is. I'm going to duplicate it. This is my original. Turn it off. Call this one warped. This is the one warp liquify. Apply my layer mask. Apply layer mask. And we're going to go into, let's try doing it with transform first. Warp. Basically, I'm trying to square the car up with the plate. There. Now, look at the original. Maybe went a little too far, so I'm going to distort. Just take this. We can just scale. Yeah, that's better. I'm gonna look at. Looks about right. Cool. And the original again. Yeah. Turn it on. Turn it off. That's basically what I want to do. All right. So we squared it up with the plate. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to use a little liquefy to kind of modify some of these parts here. I'm going to duplicate this so I don't mess any of it up. And I'm going to go into, and one of the things I wanted to do was get this, so this wheel here is lined up with here. And they're not lifted that much. So I'm going to retouch this out. Stamp tool. This wheel had kind of fallen off here, so I'm just going to kind of stamp my way through this. Just can't see my brush. It's either too big or too big. Too small. So here's our brush. We go here. Smaller. I don't mind this shadow as much. It's this one that makes it look like it's just so far off from where it originally was. So kind of bring this back in here. I'm just slowly kind of sealing off this area here. So it in fact looks like this was attached to it, which it originally was. I feel like I can get closer than that. Keep some of the shadow in there. I'm going to brush this part out here because it looks slightly, again, this is going to be tiny. 30%, just have a little darkness in there. There we go. There, now it's completely, as I would say, fused. Although this shadow does look a little heavy now. Go back here. Stamp this in. Okay. Calm down. Stamp tool. I'm just kind of mimicking what's going on here. Clone this out so it doesn't look like a duplicate. And I'm going to brush it back just a tiny bit. Brush 30. Okay. Now I'm going to take this, Control Alt E, that merges them together. I'm going to group this. Turn that one off. Now we have a new layer here. Now I'm going to. I talked about liquefying those headlights to make them look like they were slightly better than they were. So we'll go. I'm gonna save this. Filter liquefy. Okay. Use my mouse on this because there's a little bit of lag. I'm gonna use a bigger brush here. I wonder if the face aware tool would work on this. Probably not. There's 4 people watching this. Delicious. Just kind of like make this look slightly more car-esque than it does. Bring a little bit more of the shape out. Basically, kind of create straighter edges here. Kind of make it look more like the mold. Again, if we had made 100 of these, one of these would have looked more like the mold. Budget and time not permitting. So we do this this way. Now, unlike the hot dog cars, this is actually taking to the liquefy like I wanted. This. There we go. All right, this looks funky here. Fix this part here. I'm actually surprised 4 people are watching now that I think about what I'm doing. What is wrong with you people? I'm being facetious. I don't actually mean that there's something wrong with you. I'm just realizing people are watching me manipulate a piece of meatloaf that's shaped like a car. Let's push that together, which will end up retouching. Moving these, be more car-esque. Take this, get it to be more just slightly rounded. Looks more rounded there. They can still be cockeyed. It's just a matter of continuity in the circularism. That's what you would even say. I'm just kind of bring out the car shape more here. And this is probably stuff that only I am going to notice. Okay. Let's see where we end up at. Boom. And this one on. It's just giving it just slightly harder edges. It's cleaned up. It looks just like the shape of the mold, which is the idea behind this. So, turn that off. I've got this. I'm going to save what I've got. And now, I'm going to start kind of dodging and burning with curves the shape of the vehicle to kind of bring it out a little bit more, since we weren't able to do that with the lighting. So, Control-Alt-G, lift this up here, and bring in the hotspots. So, DX, Alt-Delete, brush. We're going to kind of just bring in this 300 here. X30. Just kind of bring in this, the hood line into the A-pillar. I can't even believe I'm talking car talk with a piece of meat here. Here we go. Into the trunk. Try bringing this up just a little bit higher. Now, I'm going to kind of bring this along here. We're just enhancing this car shape. That's all I'm really doing. It's across here. I think I can keep that part dark. This part up a little bit. More of the top. And you have the trunk area, which is separate from this plane here. So we're going to keep that part dark. I'll lighten this up. It's looking car-esque there. Got some of those lines. I want to darken this area here, so I'm going to go curves. darken. Control G for clipping. Darken. There we go. We don't get too dark. Just enough in there. EX, Alt, Delete. We're just going to start bringing in some of this darkness into the areas. 30%, right? Yeah. Bring out this front area here. This entire side. And darken up this window here. Oops, too much. I don't want a dark spot in there. And just trying to enhance that car shape that we got when we cooked it. We do brightness and contrast on this. I just want to get some more chunk out of this. EX, Alt, Delete. Slightly bigger here. There we go. Okay. There we go. We're getting what we want out of here. I think I'm going to do the same thing for lightening things. I got curves, contrast. There we go. Control G, go black, brush. And we'll bring this out. Just kind of hitting these corner highlights here. Stuff that's kind of closest to the light. There we go. Slightly define this edge here a little bit more. There we go. I think I probably want this part just a little bit. Here. Darken. Just kind of come in here a little bit. There we go. Now I'm feeling pretty good about this in terms of what it is that we're looking at. Now I've noticed when I started to do these adjustments that it started to kind of bring it out a little bit. So I'm trying to think. This is the darker one. I'm going to bring this back just into the leaves here a little bit. On this side as well. Let's see if this is dark. Oh. There we go. Just kind of want to give this a little bit more shape in here. Emphasize that shadow side. Also in here as well. All right. We'll probably lighten the edges here. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, look at my plate, which is right here. Throw in a curves layer to this thing as well. See what it looks like, slightly darker. I kind of like that, to be honest. A darker plate. I kind of want this meat plate, or the meat, curves, Control G, and then kind of bring this just whole thing down just a little bit more. We'll bring the shadows down. Bring the highlights up. Yeah. That's looking slightly juicier. And then just kind of lighten the whole thing a little bit. Control Alt G. It's got a little bit too much contrast in there, but I feel like more contrast and saturation on our meat is going to look better. I'm happy with this, as odd as that may seem. Control G. not what I wanted. I have everything in here that I would need. I do. Make this layer green. This layer also green. Plate. Neat. Save it again. Now I'll get ready for my next file. Control G. Meatloaf. Why that makes it gray, I have no idea. There. We'll come here to our meatloaf. Turn it off. Click here. Drag our meatloaf in here. We're going to transform it to be. Well, we'll see if it's the size of everything else. 48.36. Hit return. That's what I wanted to do, but we'll see. Right, we didn't scale the plate down. Undo. Back here. 0. Go back to my plate. Control J. Duplicate this. Alt click that. And what I wanted to do, I'm going to come to this one. I'll group this. This is my original plate front. Rename this. Plate rear. Okay. I'm not losing all my shadows I don't have. We'll grab those in there. All right. Now what I want to do is turn off my front plate so I don't see the back of it. I'm going to bring my back of my plate here. I want to take the opacity down on this. There we go. Basically where my back of my plate is going to be. Right there. Make sure it lines up properly with the plate that's already there. Oh, I'm going to go plate front. Go 100%. Go mask. Let's do this. Lasso. I don't need the back end of this. Control Shift I. Mask. Don't need the front of this. Lasso. Mask. There. Now I kind of want the rear of the plate to be just in a little bit more. I'll just click this just so it lined up properly. Oh. What I do want is this stuff to come back where it was. This is plate front. I don't want to touch that stuff. Go back to this one. V. I want to see the. I want to see this. Oh, actually, turn that off. I'm just trying to move these two together. So link this. Turn this layer off. Click here. See my mask. I want to go back. Looks like that'll line up. So let's see if I turn this off, this on. I'll do this. That other part's lined up perfectly. I'll just delete this. I just grab this. That was way easier. There we go. We've got our shadows. Front plate. I just want to make sure this is lined up. The rear part. 100%. There we go. Cool. Control S. All right, so we got our plate and our meat and our meatloaf. I'll drag this in there. I'm gonna turn on my old meatloaf. So weird to even be saying. So I know the scale, right? Did I bring in a new meatloaf? Those are the wrenches. Gray, we're not using these. Hot dog we're not using. Is that what I was using? Bummer that I've lost sight of my meat. Look at my history here. That should tell me. I'll know what I've moved. Here we go. I'll go to... It's right. That was it. Success. It's the right one. This one. Cool. Bring that one in here. Everything in here. All the masks are linked because I could drag it over and something not get aligned. So we just want to be 100% sure. Linked, 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 linked. Okay, we're good. Leave and save again. Click and drag. Okey dokels. All right. Command T, Command 0, Option, Shift. Just want to bring this right over our meat plate here. Turn. That's looking pretty damn delicioso. Cool. Turn that off. Nice. Where's the other meatloaf? It's just the shadow though. So I'm going to gray this out. I know I'm not using it. Gray that out. I'm not using that. Cool. Just want to check my shadow. Look at my original here. Just double check. Make sure the shadow doesn't look off from what it was. That's not as close to the edge on this one. So we'll move it in. All right. This has got fill on it, so I'm not worried about that. I'd say that looks pretty tasty there. It's got a lot of contrast compared to everything else. So I'm going to kind of look into that here. And we'll tone this one down a little bit. That looks pretty tasty. That's a car meatloaf. All right. Car meatloaf. Parmigiana. Rings that look like they're floating, to be honest. They look like they're floating. Maybe they need more shadow. C-clamps. That's just the shadow that's in there. I'm going to put this all together. Nothing gets lost. What is this? More meatloaf composites. Okay. This underneath. Save what we got. Okay. These rings are odd. Let's see here. I feel like these shadows could be closer together. This is that 100%, 100%, 100%. Wow. So in that case, since it is at 100%, what I can do is duplicate it and then just change the opacity on this. I feel like it would get heavier if we got further away from the light source. There's that. Let's see here. My cookie plate. Move my cookie plate. Cookies go. Cookies. This car, the toy car seems misplaced. This toy car seems like it wants to be right here. These rings, C-clamps. The shadow needs to come up. That's 60, so that can come up more. That looks better. All right. There's a little bit of a square happening in here where they're all kind of competing with one another. I'm going to go to my pie here. Burnout pie. Burnout pie. Let's save this. Burnout pie. I'm going to throw in some curves. Brightness and contrast. I like that better. Gives a little more crunch in there. Match that. Okay, I think the saturation on the napkins can come up. They still look a little floaty. Maybe the shadow needs to be darker. Move the shadow over. There we go. 36. Meatloaf pie. Maybe the pie's a little big. Originally, the pasta's bigger, so in my composite. So we're gonna do pasta. We're gonna enlarge everything but the cheese. Put this on here. Option. There we go. All right. This thing can come down or go up. I gotta figure it out. Where's my waffles? Damn it. My waffles. I feel like something could be in here, like a wrench. We've tried that already. Well, we've got a wrench here, right? Let's see this. Feels a little crazy mouse right now. That here. Think about this piece. Let's see what I got here. Let's save this. Go to my bridge. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna go to my hood here. I'm gonna go to my brightness and contrast and bring this down. All right. So I'm gonna go brightness and contrast. I feel like the middle of this needs to get darker. So I'm gonna go DX. I'll delete gradient X. Put this like this. Reveal like this. That feels more like it. Just felt a little hot in the middle there. Now I feel like I can make the whole thing gradient. Just gotta bring this way. Does that do it for me? Probably too much. take the car. Bring it up a tiny bit. I feel like it needs one more thing. Right? Am I crazy? Although I do have to do. I need to fix my worms here. My gummies. Gummy. Gummies. There we go. Shadow gummies. The shadow gummies. So this is going to go on multiply, I believe. Yeah. This looks fine, actually. These ones. We'll do darken, multiply. Whoa. Darken actually looks better. I just need to. Now stuff doesn't want to work. This is great. There we go. So this is on darken. So what I want to do is get rid of this. Oops. Get rid of this white that's here. Oops. That's actually part of the actually there. So you would see these are gummies. You would see through them a little bit, but I'm going to do something and try this. If I go solid color, make it the same color as what's here. Okay. DX option delete. Put this underneath there, and then just see if I can get fill this with white. Fill it with white. You can see it. I'm gonna go intersect. Actually, intersect layer mask with selection. Delete layer mask. And then take this out of there. But that's fine. All right. We'll make this darker. Yeah, white seems to be the best color still for this. Go here. My mask for these. Yeah, so this is in here. Is this also part of no? Group this. Mask, brush. 0. Get rid of that. I want to come here. Oh, I can't do that, can I? See about blurring the edge of this. Come here. 20%. Still get the shadow from the gummy and the white, but you get to see the bottom underneath there. 40%. Now I'm starting to believe my BS. Literally a thing. Between. Cool. This one too. I want to see the hard edges on there. There we go. Go X 100%. I want to see that. So we'll go back to here. Just want to see that. Where is that? That is this mask? Is that this one? problem when you have too much junk. It's not affected. Look at the color that it is. All right. I'll get this here, that there, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to clean up the cookies on another episode. But I think, oh, hello. Oh, this is the white that I brought in. This just looks weird because that's there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to retouch that out of the hood, but I'm going to go to this white here. The lasso. Minus, and just go, yeah. Get rid of all this unwanted white here. Option delete. Alt delete, sorry. Control D. I'm going to go to the hood here. J. Get rid of that white. Oxidized area. Competing with our shadow. Go back to my gummies. Shadow. A little slow. Brush. 30. One on black. We're going to send this out for approval. EX0. I'm just going to, where this thing is, get rid of it. Oh, too much. That got out of hand. Just brushing this in at 30. Paste it back in, go 0. So this is where I'm at. I think at this point, I've been looking at this too long. I'm going to send it out for approval and whatnot. Let's see if I go to my C clamps here. I'm going to bring those up. Gummies, C clamps. I want to leave the wrench in there for an option. No, I don't. Looks forced. Take these clamps, bring them up. There. I'm gonna bring the waffles over. Yeah, it might be better. That fills in a little bit. C clamps down. This is really way hotter than this, so I'm gonna kind of my waffles here. Just get the curves on this one. Curves, Control Alt G. Just kind of bring that white down. There. I'm just gonna check the tip of these. I'm gonna bring them on top of the shadow of the burnout apple pie. There we go. I'll just Control Shift N, brush DX 0 X. Do myself 30%. Control Alt G. I'm gonna throw a little bit on the backside here. No, that's what it's missing. Do 20, 10%, 20. Throw some darks on there. That's what's starting to happen here. I'm literally just painting black into the shadows and give me what I want. Oops, don't want to hit that chrome. Just some patina in there. Yeah, it makes sense because these were shot on white, so this wouldn't have as much fill as it does. Oops, that last one didn't sit well with me. There we go. All right. I'm going to send it, guys. I'll let you know what they say. Cookies need to be retouched. That's a whole other process. But I feel like I'm in a place where I can send it and kind of go from there. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for joining me, guys. See what happens next.